reward some of its best customers. It's setting aside some of its IPO shares just for movie lovers. The big theater chain is making a tiny part of its $368 million IPO available for its AMC Stubs loyalty program members. Frequent moviegoers who pay a small fee to the company every year for perks like skipping online ticket fees and getting a break at the concession stand. Now they'll get a little bit, maybe, of the stock.
Get your soda, get your popcorn, get a share. That's the business report for tonight. I'm Susie Garrow. Thanks so much for joining us.
And thanks from me as well. Have a great evening, everybody. We hope to see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly Business Report has been brought to you in part by
TheStreet.com. Up-to-the-minute stock market news and in-depth analysis. Our quant rating service provides objective, independent ratings daily on over 4,300 stocks. Learn more at TheStreet.com/NBR.
Programs on MPT are made possible by our members and the following. Preston Scheffenacher Properties is proud to support Maryland Public Television.
Tonight on Direct Connection, the simple things we can do for a better night's sleep and what you need to know about buying this year's hottest gadgets. That's tonight, live at 7:30 on MPT.
Public Square on MPT. It's TV worth watching.
John Sebastian hosts an all-new My Music Folk Rewind here on PBS.
Was that a mighty day? A mighty day. A mighty day. A mighty day. A mighty day. Great God reported with the sword when he swept the town. Tell me over and over and over again, my friend.
Tuesday night at 9:30 on MPT.
Every day, Veme brings you health and well-being in Spanish. Exercise, alternative medicine, tips on parenting, world travel, home improvement, gourmet cooking, and good advice. Veme.
It's TV worth watching in Spanish. Veme on MPT.
Next time on Death in Paradise.
I'm so frightened. What's going to happen to me?
A beautiful woman confesses to a murder, and Richard's judgment may be clouded.
You like her, don't you?
But there's one problem.
We haven't found a body.
Even with a confession, Richard can't let go of his doubts.
What about the button behind the watch? How does that fit in?
And he may be pushing things.
Were you a bit of a bully back in the UK?
Death in Paradise.
Thursday night at 10:30 on MPT.
MPT has partnered with Zifter to bring you the totally free online shopping tool that gets you the absolute lowest price on pretty much everything, everywhere, every time. Here's how it works. You shop wherever you want. Zifter searches the web and compares prices in the background to save you money. And a portion of the savings goes to support MPT. Just go to mpt.org/Zifter and shop, save, and support. MPT.
You brought us something old, and now we're working on something new. Season 4 of Chesapeake Collectibles is coming soon.
Premieres January 9th.
Programs on MPT are made possible by our members and the following.
Morningside House Senior Living. Our 6 area communities offer a variety of assisted living and memory care services to families throughout the Baltimore, Washington region. For more, morningsidehouse.com. Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, fighting insomnia and other sleep problems. We will get answers to your sleep questions from a leading expert coming up. First tonight, just 15 shopping days to go until Christmas, and the decisions for purchasers of consumer electronics are as complicated as ever. Joining us tonight to sort it out is Jim Barry of the Consumer Electronics Association. Jim, good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
CEA have a forecast of sales activity this year?
Yeah, we're probably going to spend a little bit more this year than we did last year, up a couple of %. And this is our 20th annual survey of what people say they want, what they're going to spend. And for the last several years, you know, right up there on the open-ended question, along with peace and happiness and a new car and that kind of stuff, we've had electronics. Tablet computers have been at the top for 3 years running now. And when you think about it, the iPad was introduced in 2010, so it's not that long ago. It's kind of, some of us think it's been around for longer than that.
You know, the history of your list is really interesting because, all right, 5 years ago, nobody was asking for tablets or iPads.
Right, right.
When you go back to the beginning of it.
Well, the first year they didn't ask that question. The second year, 1995, and probably wasn't much difference between 94 and 95, top of the list was a personal computer. If you think about it, it's probably Windows 95. Might have been floppy disks. You know, I mean, the computer looks nothing like what you would have today. Second on the list was color TV. People said, oh, color TV. Remember, we used to make that distinction between black and white and color
it's
TV.
Before my time.
I know. Well, some of us old guys remember that. Then you had VCRs, remember them? Camcorders. And you had a whole home stereo system. You also had things on there like answering machines for your phones.
The tablets that we'll get into here have more computing power than certainly those PCs
than those PCs did, yeah.
Is this stuff killing the PC business a little bit?
It's not killing it, but it's really changed it. So the desktop PC, the sales are way down as compared with mobile devices, whether it's laptop computers first. That started about 4 or 5 years ago, and then the tablet computer starting 3 years ago. So by far, mobile devices, when you think of tablets, laptops, and smartphones, which are the three tops on the list, those outsell personal computers, just a desktop PC, by a factor now of 20 to 1 or something like that. Think about the way we live. We like to take all of this stuff with us, both our information and our entertainment, and we like to stay connected to our work and our family.
Apple has first mover advantage in the tablet category, so we'll give them first mover advantage on the desk here.
This is the newest. Go ahead.
I want to ask it from this standpoint because there's two groups of people watching. There's people who have a tablet, whether it's that one or that one, and then there's people who don't have one yet, and really don't get the whole thing.
I know.
So
and
start
that's still
there.
a lot of us. That's a lot of us. You know, more than half of our households now have tablets, most of those iPads. Most of those houses have more than one also. So the thing about a tablet is that it's very thin, very light. It has a lot of apps, the application. So you can, you know, you're watching a movie on TV. You can go right to the movie database and find out, because you have a question. Wasn't he in such and such? Well, I don't think so. Answer the question just like that. So there's that. You can do lots of the other stuff, word processing, a lot of other things that you would do, and you take it with you. Although the interesting thing about tablets, they're very light, very thin to take with you. Most of us use them at home as much, if not more, than we do while traveling. Because they're wireless, you can stay connected at a wireless connection in the house. You can do all these things.
Great battery life.
Yeah.
Right. So the one you have is the newest, maybe it's the 5th generation iPad.
This is the iPad Air, very thin, very light. You can see how thin and light it is. I actually have this standing in one of the other trends here, wireless devices. This is actually a Bluetooth speaker. This is from a company called Definitive Technology. Some of you viewers may be familiar with them. They make really good loudspeakers, but it has a little slot in it, so you can put that in. But it doesn't have to be connected.
Or any tablet? I mean, the slot holds anything?
It's really an iPad, but I put other ones in there. I've had the Sony, which has a very thin Xperia tablet. I have had that in there. But the thing about this is it's not like one of these docking stations where you plug it in. You can have this across the room from this because it's that Bluetooth wireless connection that lets you listen to the music that more of us are carrying around on our tablets or our smartphones.
The base version of this one goes for about $500.
Yeah, $499, and then you can go up. Basically, with the tablets, as you add memory, as you add the ability to get on the internet with Wi-Fi or with a phone connection and more memory and more power, as you go up, you can go from really, these days, from well under $500 for some of these up to about $800 or $900.
The other tablet operating systems, there's Android and then Windows.
And Windows now, and this is the Windows Surface from Microsoft, and this is the one with that, you've seen the ads for the cool keyboard. Oh, there we go, the cool keyboard that uses a magnet to connect, so you can connect it that way, and then it's also a cover. And this is Windows 8.
And that makes it look more like a laptop.
Yes, and it feels a lot more like a laptop. The other neat thing they did with this when they built it is they built in a little stand for it that folds out, so you can use it that way. So that's a the Windows Surface. These started about $350. Been out about a year. Got a slow start. Now they have the newest version, 8.2 of Windows. They're starting to sell a lot of these. Remember, about 90% of us use Windows with those desktops we were talking about, and also with the laptops. So you have, they have a big installed base that they can leverage. They're trying to get folks to use the Windows operating system in the mobile world with these, with laptops, and with the Windows phones.
You know, their ads, TV ads, have finally gotten
everywhere.
Good.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They're
and
good.
They're very good.
Not just everywhere.
Yeah.
Why would somebody make the choice, say the price points were equal on all these? Why would you choose one over the other?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, you may be familiar with that Android operating system from your smartphone. It's the leading system in smartphones, so you may be comfortable with that. You may like the prices, which in most cases with the Androids are lower than the Apple. Apple typically is a premium price product, so you might like that. And you might like some of the other things that you get with it. The Sony versions, for instance, that hook up to the PlayStation 4. So if you're a gamer, the Xbox folks with the Microsoft ones, they have the games that hook up right to that. So there's a lot of reasons for that. You have price, you have the screen size, the smaller screen sizes. This one is the, this is from Amazon. This is the Kindle Fire. And they really jump-started the market or shook up the market when that was introduced after the iPad, because it was the smaller screen, 7-inch screen, and it was under $200 at the time when the only other choice was the iPad at $500.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about consumer electronics, not just tablets, we're going to talk about cell phones and other stuff, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet the question from your tablet, phone, or some other device. MPT News is the Twitter address. So back to the Kindle. There's different versions of it. There's the black and white, book version.
There's the Kindle e-reader and the Nook, also from Barnes & Noble. And there's a couple of other versions of that, but those are the two primary ones. Those are the ones that use e-ink and e-paper, look just like a book. Those are things, if you just want to read books, they're different from these tablets. They're great. They start as little as $70 or less. You can read them in bright sunlight. Now, you're not going to be able to read these tablets in bright sunlight. So if you're like the kind of person that likes to read out on the beach or even out on the park bench at lunchtime, look at one of those e-book readers. And the batteries last for weeks or months rather than hours or days. So that's your real choice between e-readers. And then the Kindle Fire is a tablet computer, touchscreen tablet, just like the iPads or these other Android ones or the other Windows ones.
Well, let's talk about phones.
Okay.
What do you say?
We can do that.
Smartphones. Smartphones and the iPad, the iPhone, of
again, is one of the leaders. This is the iPhone 5. I actually have this in a case, a protective case, that is from a company called LifeProof. This is waterproof. I could drop this in the water.
And did something bad happen to your previous iPhone?
Well, it's happened in my family, I will say, yes. But this LifeProof case, and they have them for iPads as well. So this is the iPhone 5. This is brand new in the last couple of months. I also brought perhaps the leading phone these days. This is the Galaxy S4 from Samsung. Also very thin, very light, uses that Android operating system. And by some counts, this is the leading selling phone as compared to the iPhone.
Let's take a phone call. This is Jim in Baltimore County. Jim, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, like with the tablets and stuff like that, do you have to get a monthly contract with them?
Depends on, you don't have to get one for like a 2-year contract, but I mentioned earlier, one of the price differentials, the lowest price ones will usually be just Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, if you have a Wi-Fi connection in your house, a wireless connection in your house, you can use that. I
mean, increasingly you go to the Starbucks.
You go to the Starbucks or someplace like that, right. Some places you won't find that wireless, so usually for about $100 more, you're going to get one that also uses the phone system. And you can do that month by month. You can buy it month by month. So that's one of the big differences that you'll find. So the answer is, to your question, Jim, is you can do it either way. And you don't necessarily have to buy a phone system, but then you're going to be depending on Wi-Fi.
Let's go out to Montgomery County. This is Hema. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, I remember previously the Samsung tablet did have Adobe Reader, Adobe Flash, but now which of the tablets has Adobe Reader and Adobe Flash?
I think what you said was that the iPad does not support Adobe Flash. So if there's some videos you go to on the internet and you say, well, you can't watch it on that, because this goes back to a feud between Adobe and Apple. Virtually all the other ones support Adobe Flash. So if that's an important consideration for you in your buying process, you've got lots of other choices, whether they're Windows or Android operating system.
So the operating system decision for people who already have a smartphone or a tablet, they're probably committed to it. They're stuck with it. It's almost like it's a religious thing.
Well, it is for some folks. There's no doubt about that. But again, it's something you become comfortable with. And, you know, the Apple folks typically, and, you know, I have some Apple folks in my family as well, who don't need a tablet.
Have to admit that.
Don't necessarily need a tablet, who are happy with both a MacBook and an iPhone. And the tablet would be superfluous for them. But that's one of the decisions. How are you going to use these? And then pick the one that you want.
I just have a couple seconds. Yeah. People who've been watching the desk have seen some colorful things here. These are Bluetooth. There's a headset and a speaker out here.
I've got headset and speakers. You might be able to hear that music.
Probably can't hear us anymore.
I know. This is a little Bluetooth loudspeaker. I'll turn that down. Now, this is called the Sound Pop. It's got a suction on it. You can put that, it's water resistant, so you can put it by your hot tub or in the shower. It costs about $30 or so. And then Bluetooth wireless, I mentioned. This one also is a pair. This is Monster headphones. These are great headphones, very colorful as well, as you can see. And these are Bluetooth wireless, so you don't have to worry about getting tangled up in all of those.
It's funny how the headphones have gotten bigger lately
you get bigger and smaller. You get the ones that are noise canceling or that you can use on the airplane. Are absolutely spectacular.
Terrific. Yeah. Jim Barry, Consumer Electronics Association. Jim, thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Nice to see you again, John.
Coming up tonight,
excuse me.
New treatments for common sleep problems. That's not going to be the treatment. That with more of your phone calls when we come right back.
Who here likes to complain?
That would be me.
I've got just the site for you.
I already know about Mover. That's M-U-U-V-E-R.
It's an app that lets you share your gripes and complaints as well as things you like.
Now, if you had a bad experience with a company, you tag it with a minus sign and everyone else gets to sound off. Mover keeps track of the pluses and minuses.
That's pretty powerful stuff. Mover's president calls it a mashup of Facebook, Twitter, StumbleUpon, Yelp, Clout, and Wikipedia.
And he says it will force companies to react to the hypes and gripes, and businesses can post responses right there on the site. The social network, which raised money through the crowdfunding site Indiegogo, also allows you to create private groups around any issue or cause.
Mover uses the 60s slogan, "Power to the people," and talks about changing the world. That claim might be a little overblown.
As with any social network, it depends on how many people use it. And that's your daily download.
What makes a good Frontline story is really the ability to go to the heart of a difficult issue, to tell it with some intelligence and complexity, to do what most of television doesn't do. Frontline and public television is one of the last places doing this kind of work. We've been doing this job for 25 years, and people have come to trust us because we answer to no one but you.
10,000. 15? 15, you think? 20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18,500. 24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Joining us for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Stephen Scharf, a professor of medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and director of the University of Maryland Sleep Disorders Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Pleasure, Jeff.
You've said that many of us have terrible sleep habits. What do you mean by that?
Well, we do all the wrong things. It's really
look. Get in bed, close your eyes. Where are the mistakes?
You wish. Look, our nearest relatives in the animal kingdom are the chimpanzees. 2% DNA separates us from the chimp, and frankly, there's a number of people who are a lot less. What happens? The chimpanzee, the sky goes down, the sun goes down, chimpanzee crawls up a tree, makes a nest, goes to sleep. Sun comes up, he gets up, goes down, goes out and makes a living. What do? Well, the sun goes down, doesn't matter. We're doing clubs, we're doing TV, we're doing games, we're doing online, we're doing all that stuff the other guy was just talking about. We're cutting our sleep short. Some of us have second jobs, which are even worse. And so we're kind of falling into bed totally exhausted, but that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Well, the chimps, if they're living in this sort of climate, the sun's going down before 5 o'clock. It's not coming up until, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning. You're asleep for an awfully long time if you're just following the sun.
Well, that's a good point. And you could get into an argument about why did we move out of the jungles and come up to the north, but that's a different point.
Well, it leads me to how much sleep do we actually need? And does it really vary for people?
Well, the average in the population in adults is about 7.5 hours. But there are people who require as much as 9 and people who require as little as 5. So somebody who's got 5.5 hours of sleep a night is functioning fine, not falling asleep, feeling great. That's just they're on that end of the curve, that's all. So the average is 7.5, but everybody's individual requirements differ.
There's nothing I can do to get on that 5-hour part of the curve because those couple extra hours, think of all the tablets and websites and all that.
And you could be right online, that's right. No, the fact of the matter is that that's an intrinsic property that people have. Now, if you do the right things before bed, you may be able to get away with less time. And time in bed is not necessarily time asleep. That's a big problem. Time in bed, not asleep, really doesn't do you too much.
Well, what's the biggest complaint you see in practice?
There's two. I can't get to sleep. I can't stay awake. I mean, those are the two. Insomnia or sleepiness. That's what we have.
Hold the thought. Let's take a phone call. We'll come back to those. George in Baltimore City. George, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
I'm a CPAP user. And I go to the University of Maryland for treatment. I cannot sleep more than 5 or 6 hours with a CPAP. I need to know how can I get into my 8 hours of sleep? I'm 87 years old.
George, thank you for the call. Good luck to you. And we should say the CPAP is the breathing apparatus for sleep apnea.
For patients with sleep apnea, right. The real question I would ask you, George, is how are you feeling during the day? Are you sleepy or do you feel wide awake? How's your life going when you're asleep?
I do a lot of napping during the day, too much.
Right.
I try to get up and do exercise and then a walk or do something to keep from napping, but it persists, nap persists.
Well, there's a whole series of things that can be done. They range anywhere from some behavioral therapy, sometimes in the right case, certain sleeping pills. scheduling activities. So this is the kind of thing that in our sleep center and in others, we would sit and try to work with you and see if we can get you on a program which is the right for you.
So to come back to the broader complaints you get, people who can't get to sleep.
Right.
Are they making mistakes, or are there some people who are just, wired differently? I mean, I can think of some mistakes. You have, visit Starbucks at 9 o'clock every evening, you're going to have trouble getting to sleep.
Yes to both. Insomnia actually has many different causes, and one of the things that we try to do in our clinic is to differentiate those who have insomnia because of a certain medication, those who have because of poor habits, those who have an underlying organic sleep disorder like sleep apnea. And there are about 15% of people with insomnia. It's called primary insomnia. They're doing everything right. Their brains are wired a little hyper alert, and so that's the smaller percentage, but there are those.
Where do you go with that one? Is that a medication case?
Well, in what we would call primary insomnia, there's two modes of treatment. Mode 1 is to go ahead and give sleeping pills. Mode 2 is to do what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, which we prefer. A month down the line, the two modes are equal. A year down the line, the improvements with cognitive behavioral therapy last, while those with sleeping pills don't always.
What do you try to change in the behavioral therapy?
There's a number of different things that are done. There's stress relaxation, there's relaxation exercises, there's scheduling. Often we'll do a sleep restriction protocol. There's coping with worry that happens, in 9 p.m. You start with the worries, and of course that keeps going through the night. There's a lot of different things. It's very individualized.
How stressful to somebody is having trouble sleeping? And a person with insomnia suffers in a way that maybe it's hard to quantify.
I'll tell you something, extremely. I have a slide when I give lectures on insomnia. It shows the Frankenstein monster. The problem is insomnia, even if it begins as a consequence of something that was done or some other reason, then assumes a life of its own. And the bedroom may become a conditioning for not sleeping. So we have to work with that. We have to break that cycle.
And the other category of big complaints you get is people who can't stay awake, you
Right, right. Once again, we're looking for poor habits, insufficient sleep. We're looking for what we call organic sleep disorders, such as sleep apnea. There are others, narcolepsy is another. There are about 50 different causes of being excessively sleepy.
Let's take another call. This is Alan. Alan, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi there. I'm calling because I sleep about 2 hours and wake up. Sometimes I'll fall right back asleep. Sometimes I'll be awake for an hour. But I can't seem to have sustained sleep. I wake up every couple of hours. Is there a reason for that?
Well,
thanks for the call.
Thank you. That's a very typical kind of complaint. The answer is there may be a reason for it. There likely is a reason for it. Is it a psychologic mental health kind of reason? Is it an organic reason? Is it a underlying sleep disorder kind of reason? These are the kinds of things that would have to be sorted out in a sleep center or by a sleep specialist.
Speaking of all the technology we had here earlier, the light from those things, particularly a big TV, can be a problem.
Those LCD screens, in addition to TV itself just being a very engaging kind of medium, the light from those big screens has been shown to fool the brain into thinking it's the daytime. We have a clock, a biologic clock that goes on in our brains, and it works by light. And sometimes the light from those is enough to tell the brain, hey, it's day. So you can imagine what that's going to do to your sleep pattern.
Dr. Stephen Scharf is a sleep specialist at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Sir, thank you for being with us.
Welcome, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. For all of us at MPT, have a good night.
Your Health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.
He was born Rolihlahla, shaker of trees. He became Nelson Mandela and shook the world.
We want peace, standing on our feet, not kneeling on our knees.
As the world mourns, Frontline celebrates the life and legacy of the